Let's go.
Welcome in to the Off-Brand Avalanche podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the best jerseys and the worst jerseys in the NHL right now and all time. Honestly, as far as pro leagues go, I feel like the NHL kind of has pretty good jerseys. Like, I was looking for the worst
Yeah.
ones, and that was the list I had the hardest
Dude,
time
it was
with.
really
I
hard.
was like, none of these
Yeah,
are
it
that
was
bad.
super hard. That's what I was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I feel like some of the worst ones could be some people's favorite ones on my list too.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense. All right,
I
so
mean,
before we
yeah,
dive into the jerseys, like anything else you want to talk about? I mean, there's not a ton going on in the Avalanche world.
no, not a whole lot going on in the Avalanche world. Just we found out the second Stanley Cup team last night, so the Lightning will be joining the Stars.
Thank
So
God.
let's go Lightning. Yeah, yeah, that would have been, dude. Imagine if that game went to Game 7, though.
I'd have been terrified.
Yeah,
So
Tampa
many,
fans would have been like,
yeah,
"Oh my god,
and there's so
here we
many
go
OT
again."
games. Tampa's gone through so many OT games that's actually insane.
I know. So going back to last year,
Yeah, honestly,
yeah,
I want to check the stats on this. I feel like if you added the total number of overtime periods in the NHL this year, what percentage of those has Tampa played in, like in the playoffs? It's got to be like half.
dude, it's probably especially if you're taking like the amount of time. Is that what you're talking
Well,
about?
like the
Like
number of
the amount
overtime
of
periods. So like that 6 OT
yeah,
game, that
okay,
counts as
yeah,
6.
yeah, dude. I would imagine that it might be over half.
It's got to be close. They've been in like all
Because
the
dude,
overtime games.
the Avs,
The Avs
the
only
Avs
lost
only
one
went to one.
overtime. That's the only overtime
Yeah,
they
that was
played in.
Game 7.
Unless we're not counting round robin because that overtime is different. That doesn't
Yeah,
count.
but dude, I would imagine that the Lightning probably have over half of the periods played in overtime.
It's crazy. They've
All
been in
right,
so many
yeah,
OT games. All right, let's hop into these
crazy.
jerseys. Let's go in like kind of backwards here. So let's do our worst jerseys, then we'll do our vintage
Okay,
jerseys, and then we'll do our favorite current jerseys. So I didn't have any honorable mentions for my worst list because, like I said, this was
yeah,
the
me
hardest
either.
one to come up with. Kicking it off at 5, I went with the Oilers. I'm not a fan of
So,
orange.
yeah, Billy, this is going to be contrasting for us then. So was your fifth like your 31st? Is
Oh
that like
no!
your
So
least
like
favorite?
my
Okay,
fifth
so
was my
that's
fifth least favorite, and my number one is my
okay.
least favorite jersey.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I just needed to clear the air here.
Yeah,
So my fifth, dude, and Billy, like you were saying, like the NHL all around has like some pretty nice jerseys.
yeah. Like I don't hate the Oilers
So
jersey; it's just not my favorite, and I don't need any
yeah.
Broncos fans in here telling me that blue and orange is a good combo because it's not. It's average at best.
This is where we're gonna
Bring
get
in the
interesting.
dislikes.
Yeah. Well, my list differs from yours already. Um, so coming in at number 5 worst for me is the Detroit Red Wings.
Well, I don't hate. They're just too basic for me to have an opinion on.
Th- That's what it is. They're just so basic. But then there's like, dude, it's just like two colors. And the thing is, I mean, just in my eyes, because these are both in our eyes, I hate the Red Wings. So whenever I see
True.
the Red Wings, it just looks like throw up.
I mean, fair enough.
So,
Yeah, I left them off mostly because, like, I don't know. They're like, I tried to not use too much of I hate this team, but I still ended up with two Central Division
okay.
teams at my worst. But also, like, I don't know. It's basic, so like, I didn't really. The Detroit Red Wings jersey is like it's kind of classic, so I know a lot of people like it. But like, if you don't have like the nostalgia for it, it's just the most basic jersey, and for me, it's just hard to have an opinion on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was really the only one that I like had some sort of bias towards. Um, and until we get to our favorites,
Yeah.
but we'll throw that out there. But so yeah, that's like kind of the only one on this like my top 5 worst jerseys that I have some sort of bias for because I was actually really freaking struggling with like the 5th worst one.
Yeah, I got my top 3 pretty well, And then after that,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. But at number 4, I have the Flyers because I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm not a fan of orange.
Oh no. This is okay.
Marshall is a fan of orange.
It's my favorite color. I love orange. But I will say that like a lot of orange on an NHL jersey doesn't particularly look great. But there are we'll go into like my favorite jerseys that I really, really like.
I
And
mean, orange jerseys look like traffic cones. And in the case of the Oilers, they also play like traffic cones, so.
unless you're Connor McDavid and you're making everyone look like a traffic cone.
True. I mean, honestly, though, Connor McDavid doesn't actually like have like elite defense. Like he could get
No, he
washed. So
doesn't. But he
yeah,
he's
he
like
makes people look
making
like traffic
people
cones
look.
more than he looks like a traffic cone.
He's yeah, he's a traffic cone that's making other people look like traffic cones. So it's a traffic cone walking a traffic cone.
So by our
But
logic, is the worst defensive game in the NHL like the Flyers against the Oilers?
yeah, I mean by your logic.
Yeah, by my logic.
Yeah, because I don't really see it that way. All right, I'll hop into my fourth on this list. My fourth worst jersey in the league right now. Um, I don't like the Sharks. I don't like the Sharks jerseys.
Really, I like them. I like the teal and the blue.
I'm not a huge fan of the teal. I'm a huge fan of blue in like in a color overall, but I just don't really like the teal like all that much.
You're gonna hate my vintage
And
list.
ah, dude, I don't
I've got
know.
like
Like there
three
wasn't
teal
really,
teams here on the vintage list.
and I might have like I don't like teal as the main color.
Okay.
Like as the color that's just like overtaking everything altogether. And like we already mentioned, it was really hard to pick these like top 5 worst jerseys until like I get up to the top two or three, and it was like really easy for me.
Honestly, even my top three, I
Um,
didn't hate that much.
I my top two I hate,
Okay.
but for a different reason. But I don't know if I'm just not loving this jersey. It's not like a terrible like jersey concept or anything, but I just don't love it.
Makes
So
sense.
uh,
All right, let's
yeah,
hop into our threes here. And I have the Dallas Stars. Part of this is like, so we did like their full like uni sets. And like, I don't hate their regulars, but those Winter Classic ones just bring the whole thing down, and I hate them.
yep,
So that's one of the big reasons I have the Stars at 3. I don't like their main jerseys much anyway, and also still mad at the Stars, so I'm tired of looking at them.
yeah. Billy, I had the Stars at 2.
Oh, okay. So we
It's my
both hate the Stars
second.
jerseys.
Yeah, at 3 I had the Panthers.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I considered them.
I feel like the Panthers jerseys they could have something going with them, but I hate the stripe down the middle.
Yeah,
Like the white stripe makes it look
it does.
like a
It looks
soccer
weird.
uniform. It does. Like I don't hate like the logo or anything. The logo's fine. It's probably better. Actually, I probably would still take their old logo,
Yeah, I would
the
definitely
Panther
take their
biting
old
the hockey
logo.
stick. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, their logo kind of even looks like a soccer logo. So yeah, I definitely don't love these jerseys at all.
Makes sense. And you have the Stars at 2. At 2, I have the
I had
Kings.
the Stars at 2.
Yeah, and I have the
Ooh,
Kings.
okay,
I
okay,
don't hate them. They're bland, and they used to have really good jerseys, which I feel like brings them down. Like the early 2000 Stars jerseys were pretty sick, and now the current ones are just they're just black and white, and they're just boring to me.
yeah, yep. That's ooh. Now that I'm kind of reconsidering it, it's like yeah, I maybe should have had like the Kings over the Red Wings, just especially the fact that you probably should get deducted some points if you used to have pretty freaking cool jerseys
Yeah,
and now you don't, like you said. So that's kind of a knock on them. That's a good pick, but I didn't have them on my list. So at 2, I had Dallas. Wait, did you just was that with the Kings your 2?
the Kings were my 2, yeah, and I had the Stars at 3.
Okay, so I'll give my number 1. I have a feeling we might have the same
I don't know
team
if we
here,
do.
and that's Minnesota.
I
Soda.
don't have the Wild. I know a lot of people don't like the Wild jerseys. I actually kind of like them.
So your hatred for orange as a color is like my hatred for green as a color.
Okay, makes
And
sense.
I know that that's gonna make you sad being a CSU Ram fan,
Yup.
but that's just how it
I
goes.
like green.
And I picked the lesser of the two evils on this one. I hate the dark green on the Wild a little bit more than I hate like the lighter green on the Stars.
Mm,
Um,
okay,
the thing I will say though about the Wild, I just hate their color, but I think they do have one of the most unique logos in the league.
that makes sense.
Like if we were
Yeah.
kind of basing this off of logos, it would be way
It's also
higher.
just kind of
But
weird
I just
though
don't like the
because
green at
like
all.
also like their logo doesn't really make a ton of sense. I don't know. I'd have multiple animals if I was making a Wild logo. Although I guess that might be hard to do. I'm not a graphic designer, but I don't. I love green
Well,
because like, but I've worn a lot of green jerseys in my life. Like both during juniors and in college, I was on teams with green jerseys. So it's definitely grown
yeah,
on me. So that might be part of the reason I kind of like Minnesota's. It's a similar shade of green to CSU as well.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I guess if I like, I don't think I've ever worn a green jersey. So if you kind of like had that on, it'd be a little bit different, I suppose. It would definitely grow on you. But like I said, this was really hard to pick the bottom five.
Yeah.
The top five were a lot
Yeah, they
easier
were.
because there's a lot of really good neutral jerseys, especially just the sets overall, and that's what we considered. There's a bunch of like third jerseys and alternate jerseys that are like terrific. So should we get into those,
No,
Billy?
because I should give it my number one worst.
Oh, dude, I forgot because I did mine first this time.
Yeah.
My, my fault.
My
Who's
least
your
favorite
number one
jersey
worst?
is I don't think you're gonna agree with this at all because I think you like them, and that's the Nashville Predators jerseys. I don't like them much at all. I don't like the weird yellow, and the I will say they did get better. Like the Predators, I think the worst jersey of all time was that mustard yellow the Predators used to wear in like the early
Yeah,
2000s, late 90s. So I'm not a huge fan.
and that we wore, Billy.
Yeah, those ones that we had
We
when we
wore those
were. What was that? First year.
squirts.
I was a first year squirt. You were a second year squirt.
Yeah, yeah, dude. But that's like I don't like these jerseys that much, but there is a little bit of that nostalgia factor, being that was like that was my first ice hockey year ever,
Yeah, same.
and okay, so that was our first ice hockey year ever, and we had to wear those mustard yellows. So I guess there's a bit of nostalgia there having to wear it. But I think if you ask around the league, a lot of people would not like these jerseys.
Yep, I think that's probably true. They're just kind of. I feel like they're kind of a unique color. I don't know that there's that
They are
many of that shade of yellow in sports in general. But yeah, that's
like a mustardy yellow.
yeah.
All right.
That's our worst jerseys. Let's move on into some more fun ones and talk about the vintage jerseys. And this is good because there's a ton of good vintage jerseys.
Vintages first. Okay.
Yes. So
Yeah, there are. There
I
are.
have I have a couple honorable mentions for this one, and that is I've got the Nordiques because I like that teal, and also they used to be the Avs. So well, that's what the Avs used to be, or however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And then I also have the Mighty Ducks, classic, also a movie. The
Okay.
movie made the jerseys classic partly. I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. They actually made my list.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I kind of just had one auto mention though, and that was the Colorado
They're
Rockies.
on my list.
And okay, I had another. So did you just have the Quebec Nordiques
I just had the yeah as an
on in
honorable
your honorable
mention.
mention?
Yeah.
Okay. So they are actually on my list,
Okay.
and I didn't want to put two Colorado teams or Colorado affiliated teams, I guess, on my list. So I was just kind of picking one or the
See,
other.
I guess I did the opposite because I left the Nordiques off and put the Rockies on. Yeah,
Fair
makes
enough.
sense. So we'll talk about them when we get to them.
Yeah.
So at number 5, I have the old Kachina jerseys, like the OG Kachina jerseys from the
Okay.
Coyotes. I think they were sick. And yeah, that's why I
Yep,
kept them on.
they're super sick.
I know.
The new ones are really
Yeah, I
nasty.
like the new ones even better. I feel like I know the
Yeah,
Kachinas. I feel like are a lot of people's favorite jersey. I feel like a lot of people have the Kachinas in
dude.
one.
Yeah, the
I think I lagged out of the call. Let's see if we're back up. All right, we're back. We're good now. uh, all right, where did you lose me? What were you saying? Okay. Yeah. Yep. See, that's the those are the ones I was talking about when we talked about the worst ones. I like those a lot. I didn't put them on my list, but I definitely like them a lot. And it's like I don't know, the royal purple just works for the Kings. Yeah. 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 Makes sense. Yeah, so that's your five. Your four was the Kachinas. At four, I had the old Golden Seals jerseys, the teal ones in particular. I love those. Yeah, makes sense. Yep, I like them. I feel like they're the most like flashy jersey that I've seen of any NHL team. Oh, the old Canucks one. Okay, that one's fair. Yeah, that one's weird. Okay. Yeah, exactly. And there's like that one iconic picture of Sakic in the jersey, and I that's the one every time I think Nordiques, I think of that picture. Basically, yeah. Ooh, I'd probably get a Colorado Rockies jersey just because I love them. But that would be a tough call. That'd be a tough call. My three. This is like the most recent one I bet will be on either of our lists. But the first Penguins Winter Classic jersey, those baby blue ones with the circular logo. I just remember like you could not walk anywhere that like the next couple of years after that game without seeing someone in one of those jerseys. And I thought they were nice. Yep. I know they're also like super recent, so it's hard. Like you don't think of them when you're thinking vintage jerseys, but I was just looking up some old pictures and I was like, wow, those jerseys are classic. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Top two. Oh, okay. Yeah. I know like a lot of people hate their current jerseys, and I don't like the logo, but I do actually kind of like the color scheme. Like I don't like orange, but I like the little bit of orange with the black and like the gold. I kind of like their new jerseys. I know a lot of people don't. Makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially if you're talking to like non-hockey fans and you bring up a hockey team just because of the movie, like the first jersey they're going to think of is the Mighty Ducks. Yeah. At number 2, I had the Whalers jerseys, which I think like they're pretty iconic. They're like out in Colorado, the first like old team that you think of is usually the Nordiques. I feel like outside of Colorado, the first team a lot of people think of when they think vintage teams is the Hartford Whalers. Makes sense. Their logo is sick. Yup. Exactly. I love those jerseys. And that's why the Avs need to do a Nordiques night. I'd go and I'd buy a McKinnon Nordiques jersey. Yeah, I like them a lot. That's why they're your number one. Makes sense. I had the Rockies. I love the Colorado flag. If you plaster the Colorado flag on anything, I'm gonna like it. And that's why I love the Rockies jersey. So they're my favorite jersey ever. Yep. I did the same thing, and that's why I switched the Seals and the Nordiques. I was like, I don't want to have all the Colorado teams here, so that's what I did too. All right, let's get into the best list we've got, and that is our top 5 jerseys in the NHL right now. I do have a couple honorable mentions. I really like the Lightning, and then also go ahead with yours. Nice. Okay. Yes. So exactly. Yep, I have been. Okay, so my other one is a jersey that would definitely be in my top 5, but the team doesn't exist yet, and that's the Kraken jerseys. We got the reveal earlier this year, and I think they're one of the best jerseys in the NHL. I love the logos, I love the color scheme. They'd probably be in my top 3 if they existed. Yep. Yep. I love them so much. Yeah. I was looking up lists before this, and someone had those ranked as the worst jerseys in the NHL, and I was like, no way. I love those ones. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, makes sense. That makes sense. All right, so at five, I have the Coyotes, and I have them here because the Kachinas are my favorite jersey in the NHL, and I hate their regular uniforms. So like their regular uniforms would probably make my bottom five, but the Kachinas I think are the best jersey in the NHL, which is what brings them all the way up into my top five. So I have them at fifth. Okay. Yep. I have them on my list too. They're further up. Yeah, I think I have not met many people who don't like the Blackhawks jerseys. They're pretty great. Yeah, at number four, this is where I put the Avs. This is obviously pretty biased, but it is a very unique color combo. You do not see a lot of teams in any sport with like the burgundy and blue. So like I like that it's unique. I love the like the Colorado thirds with the old Rockies throwback logo. I didn't like their Stadium Series jerseys, but they only wore them once, and they've grown on me since they were released. I feel like they were a big miss, but like they could have been good. They had some good concepts going, but yeah. So I love the Avs jerseys. I wouldn't trade them for the world, so that's why we got them at fourth. Nice. Yeah, they're nice. Yep. And like I said, I was looking up lists when I was preparing, just looking up lists of everyone else's favorite old jerseys, and the Avs just standard jerseys were consistently in like the top quarter to third of the league. So we're not going crazy here. They are good jerseys. Yeah, definitely. Yep. All right, getting into our number three, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I I really like their color scheme with the red, white, and blue. I also like the retro ones that they've been wearing. Those ones are really nice. And yeah, just like all around, I feel like every uniform they have is good. They don't have any uniform to me that's like insanely good, but I like all of them. Yep. Ew. Every time I see a Bruins jersey, I want to burn it. It's number one if it's on fire. Then it's the best jersey in the league. Yeah. Ooh, okay, that's a controversial statement because at number two, I have the Chicago Blackhawks. So I think they have the best jerseys of the original six, and they're like, I don't know, they're just an all-time classic. They're a great logo. The color scheme is great with the reds and the whites and the blacks, and it's like the perfect shade of red, and it just fits perfectly. So I like the Blackhawks jerseys a lot. I mean, I feel like there's been a lot said about them already, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but yeah, they're my number two. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. What do you have at number two? Oh, I actually like theirs a lot, which is weird because I don't like orange typically, but I don't know. I feel like it just works for the Islanders jerseys. That makes sense. Yeah. I almost actually put them on my vintage list with the old fisherman jerseys. I liked those ones a lot. Yeah. It definitely conflicts with the orange. Yeah. I just like the Islanders right now. They're one of the side teams I like to root for a little bit. Yep. And Anthony Beauvillier is one of my just like random favorite players for no good reason. So there's that. All right, let's talk about our number ones. Do we have the same number one? It's the best jersey set in the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, you've got just like their standard red jersey with the regular logo. Those are sick. You've got the white jersey that says like canes across the chest. Those are sick. And then the super sick ones, the storm warning jerseys, other than the Kachinas, like those two I go back and forth on are my favorite in the NHL. And they also wore the Whalers jerseys this year too. Yeah. Yep. I think the Canes have grown in popularity league wide so much over the last 2 years, and part of that was like the bunch of jerks thing. Part of that was that they've gotten pretty good pretty quickly. But another big piece of that is that they have the sickest jerseys. Because I mean, it's hard. They don't wear a jersey that I don't love. Basically, yeah, exactly. No one does it, and the Avs need to. Yep. You want to watch the Coyotes wear Jets jerseys against the Jets? Just every and then no, but the Jets will wear their Thrashers jerseys in that game, so it'll be even better. That'd be really hard to commentate. That'd be very hard to commentate. I don't know what would you do as an announcer if you have to call the team in the Thrashers jerseys the Jets and the team in the Jets jerseys the Coyotes. That'd be tough. The league would never let it happen. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. All right. Anything else you want to dive into before we just get out of here for today? Oh. Yep. I mean, now that it's official now, it wasn't unexpected necessarily, but it is definitely notable. Do you like the idea of him? We'll talk more about this when we do a free agency pod, but just a quick little hit here. Do you like the idea of Alex Pietrangelo in Colorado? I'm not necessarily a huge fan of it myself. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We'll probably do a free agency pod next week. Definitely very true. My biggest holdup is that I think that Petrangelo and Hall are one or the other, and I think that Hall is a much better pickup. But if you strike out, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to Petrangelo. That sounds like a lot of money. Yes, it does. It sounds a lot like a Stanley Cup. For sure. All right. Well, thank you to all our viewers and listeners. Yes, go Nuggets. About half an hour away from that game starting, and I cannot wait. But thank you to all our listeners and viewers. We do stream these live on YouTube, so if you're still in that live chat, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you are not, wherever you're listening, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And we will see you in our next episode.